Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEB Reviews, and today we are going to recap all the stuff that Tom got me from the mystery grab bag. I'm just going to do a quick little review, not with a rating and not really too in-depth, just some quick thoughts on all of these albums that I got, and just so you know if you wanted to check it out. So we're going to just get right into it. We're going to start with my worst and work up to my favorite. So we're going to start with the Booty Snatches. I considered putting this at number 1 as a joke because it is funny, but honestly, it stunk. It's a remix album, and maybe if this was a full album of all new songs, I might like it a little bit more. But over 20 minutes of the same EDM remixes, I mean, they sound different, but it's the same song. And honestly, the first, let's say 3 minutes of this was actually kind of enjoyable because it's kind of silly. And I think that if I heard a full album of this, of original songs, I might actually like it because it's funny, it's dorky, and I don't know, it was kind of fun. But the same song over and over got really repetitive. This was the only one of this group that Tom didn't get me out of knowing I'd like it. This was just one that he opened, and I said, I gotta have this before you get rid of it. So, yeah, it isn't good. I tried to do research on these people, but I never found anything, so I'll never know if I like any of their other stuff. So next up we have actually the only album here that I knew a song off of when I got it. I knew a couple of the artists, but this one I actually knew a song off of, but yet I really don't like it. It's Tal Bachman, his self-titled debut. She's So High is a great song. I love it. He definitely has that late 90s pop kind of sound, and I do really like this song. There are some songs on here that are okay, like Darker Side of Blue. Honestly, She's So High is still my favorite, but he just has a tendency to over-deliver. He just puts too much, and I really don't like his voice. Even in She's So High, I feel like he typically will give a little too much emphasis to words, get a little too into it, and that's not saying like he's getting a little too passionate. I'm saying he's just exerting his voice too much, and sometimes it just kind of gets grating. It's not a bad album, but after 46 minutes of it, I just cannot. So these two are actually the only two that I have a negative view of. I don't really have much good to say about either of the others, but the 5 that remain, these are all albums that I actually like to some extent. They're all over at least a 5 out of 10. I'm not rating them, but they're all positive, just maybe not my favorite. So we're going to start with Another Cup by Yusuf. So I'm really honored to get to hear this because I know that this was an album that Tom's sister enjoyed. It was in her collection. He then heard it and really enjoyed it and passed it on to me. And I feel honored to get to hear this album and get to be included in that circle. That being said, it didn't really work for me. Now, Yusuf is Cat Stevens, and he's just a folk kind of singer. And honestly, he's just very earnest. And that's one of the things that kind of bothered me about this, which seems weird because I love it when artists are really passionate about their music and really earnest. But with folk, it kind of sounded like it was just a parody of the genre. It was like he was making fun of it because he was just a little too into it at times, a little too passionate. Weird nitpick, but that's probably why I didn't like it. Not bad, just not great. Next up, we have the most popular artist, I assume, out of all this. Sorry, Tom. Paolo Nutini's These Streets. It's just not my thing. It's singer-songwriter, but a little more plugged in than the typical like acoustic kind of singer-songwriter. It's just not my thing, honestly. I know that Paolo Nutini is actually the biggest of these artists, and I know Tom loves Paolo Nutini because he is in his like title card thing. But it's just not my thing. I don't really have too much more to say. It's fine, and like the title track and Autumn, those are 2 good songs, but ultimately it's just not it's not something that I personally enjoy just genre-wise. So it's fine. It just doesn't stand out or anything. So next up, and also ironically, after I got this, he ended up coming up twice in a book I was reading and then in the news. An artist I had never even heard of, which again, I know he's kind of popular, but I just never caught wind. So next we have, the next 2 albums are actually probably pretty similar, and I love these last 3. They're at least like probably 8s or 7.5s or over. But the next 2 are going to be pretty close together. They're equally great. I just can't decide which one I like more. But for now, I'm going to lean towards the one that I think I like more. Well, we'll see. And so making the 3rd place spot be the Connells. For some reason, I can never pronounce their name. I've messed it up multiple times. We've had multiple takes of this. Fun and Games. So Thomas sent me another album of theirs, actually, and I didn't like it quite as much as this, at least. It was fine. It was very jangle pop, but it just wasn't. It didn't really connect with me as much. I knew he loved it, and I did like it, but it just wasn't quite my thing. Now this though, this is very like post-punk new wave sort of stuff, but sticking with their jangle pop kind of sound. I actually really like it. It's a really nice blend of genres, and some of these songs here are really catchy. Honestly, I could go through and name some of them, but most of these really do stand out to me. The title track, "Fun and Games," I keep humming it. I keep catching myself humming it. It's really good, and this album made me want to look into more of their stuff. I bought another album of theirs. So while I didn't love the first one he showed me as much, this one, much more into it. I really do like it. So now we are down to the final two. So that makes the second place spot Jonathan Brooke. So careful what you wish for. Sorry. Really good album. It was the last one I listened to. I saved it for last. No particular reason. And she has a really nice voice. I really did like it. It's well produced. Sounded very good for being such a small artist. I looked her up, and it's too bad that she's so small because she's very talented. Well produced. Great songwriting. She's a great poet, and she's kind of theatrical at times, and I kind of like it. It really worked for her. It's a good album. I do genuinely like it. So now we are down to my final CD. Now, Tom probably knows what it is, but there's one left that I absolutely loved. Even in Tom's reaction video, he knew it would be probably the one that I'd like the most. And he was right, and I absolutely loved it. Now, this artist actually has 2 albums, both of which I've now listened to a lot recently, because I got so into this artist. And that's Owsley. Great album. I loved it. I can't even try to come up with what songs I like. "I'm Alright" is a great song. "Coming Up Roses," "Uncle John's Farm," "Good Old Days." All of these great songs. It's kind of got that. Tom described it as power pop, but I'd also kind of throw in a Brit pop kind of sound. It sounded very similar to like Oasis or even Paul McCartney at times. And there are a lot of there's some very tight Paul McCartney comparisons here, both vocally, and then we have like Uncle John's Farm, which draws some natural comparisons to Paul McCartney. And so it actually, a lot of it reminded me of Paul McCartney. But that being said, he does make his own name for himself. It does sound a lot more modernized than Paul McCartney's typical sound does, leaning maybe more towards Oasis. I don't know, somewhere in the middle there. Great album. His self-titled debut. Definitely recommend it. Easily one of the best things, easily the best thing that Tom has ever showed me. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I've listened to both albums. Too bad that he had to they stopped making music because, as Tom believed, he'd passed away. Great album though. I really do love it. But thank you so much, Tom, for all of these. Even the ones I didn't like, I appreciate the gift. Tal Bachman, I love "She's So High, So Hey." I'd love to have it on CD. Could not get rid of "Da Booty Snatches." So ultimately, I love this. I loved all of this here. Even the things that I didn't love quite as much still were really good, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, seriously, again, Tom. It means so much. And thank you all for watching this video. It means so much to me. If you know any of these albums, let me know what you thought of them. And like I said, I recommend Owsley. Please look it up. Besides that, thank you guys, and I will see you guys later.